I was here 2 days ago, and there were 2 planks on that ramp, and the third one on the pier was not broken. I'm gonna have to count the rest of these and see what's missing. Found it.
Various dive shops and websites refer to this dive site by 3 different names: Hole in the Wall, Rocky Beach, and Puerto Chiquito. No matter which name you use, this spectacular reef just southeast of Mangel Halto is definitely worth a dive. But before we get into the site itself, let's go through a short explanation of the names. Hole in the Wall refers to a gap in the rock barrier wall just off the shore which provides diver access to the reef. Rocky Beach is the closest literal description given all the rocks above and below the surface, but more on that later. Puerto Chiquito is a reference to the neighborhood surrounding the dive site called Pas Chiquito. To make things consistent for the rest of the video, we will be calling this dive site Hole in the Wall. Hole in the Wall is located on the southwest coast of Aruba, 4 roundabouts south of the airport on Spans Lagenweg. Like most other shore diving sites on the island, it is not visibly marked from the street. Look for an unpaved parking lot with a view of the water, sandwiched between a cement wall on the left and a stone wall on the right. There is usually plenty of parking, however the lot is narrow, so be respectful and make sure others have room to maneuver. There are no handy places to set up your gear, so your car is the best bet to keep things clean and organized. There are several options for entry. The first is a short gravel path right at the end of the parking lot. The entry itself is relatively easy, however you will encounter some good-sized rocks underwater that could make walking a bit tricky as footholds shift from time to time. A second option might be the wooden pier, depending on its state of repair. Throughout our stay, several planks went missing, and it isn't clear who maintains it. The depth at the end is about 4 to 5 feet, and the group we saw used a squatting back roll. Depending on your age, dexterity, and sense of adventure, you may prefer one of the other entry points. Besides, you have to walk out one of those other ways anyway, since there is no ladder on the pier. Some divers choose to walk in from the shore just to the left of the pier, although there are a few large rocks right at the edge. Finally, there is a very easy beach entry, however that requires much more walking. The path to get there is narrow in some spots, and the footing can be unstable due to broken coral and small rocks. No matter where you get in, there will be some walking until you get deep enough to put on your fins. The water can be murky and the floor uneven, so be prepared for the occasional rock or grassy patch. Before we get into the really good reef footage, we have some shameless self-promotion to get out of the way. We hope you enjoy watching this video as much as we did making it. We would like to make more, so please consider subscribing, give us a thumbs up, and add a comment. Our goal is to reach at least 1,000 subscribers so we can earn a bit of money to defray costs. Thanks! Oh, and tell your friends! Hole in the Wall offers a couple of dive profiles. If the current isn't that strong, you can choose to explore the reef and head back in. If the current is going to the right, or you feel a bit adventurous, you can slowly drift and or swim about 500 meters up the reef and exit at Mangel Halto. That option will require setting up a second car at Mangel Halto, or a bit of a walk back to Hole in the Wall in heavy gear. The reef sits at 210 degrees southwest of the entrance, so your return heading would be 30 degrees northeast. The water remains fairly shallow, even 50 feet beyond the wall. Once underwater, look for several landmarks to help find your way back. The first is a relatively tall coral mound surrounded by smaller coral heads and sand. This sits about 100 feet outside the wall entrance at a fairly shallow 15 feet. Another 100 feet beyond that, anchored in 40 feet of water, is an underwater buoy. Find that on your way back and head northeast to return to shore. You may also see this large circular piece of metal. It's also in about 40 feet of water, approximately 75 feet southeast of the buoy. The reef goes down to 90 feet in spots. Here's a bit of what the dive site looks like at various depths. The 20-foot mark is filled with large coral structures, punctuated by a few sandy chutes. 40 feet also has large amounts of coral. At 60 feet, the coral isn't quite as large or connected, and there are obvious sand patches in between. By 80 feet, there is a fairly even mix between small coral and sand. If you make it down to 100 feet, the reef gives way to gentler, more sandy slopes. The tremendous amount and variety of coral is one of the biggest highlights of this dive. You don't have to be a coral expert to appreciate the incredible diversity here. Swimming up and down the reef, you will see a few sandy chutes, which not only break up the site visually, but provide a different habitat where you will see different creatures. Also, if you get the chance, spend a few minutes exploring the pier either on your way in or out, as lots of juvenile fish call that home. The vast amount of coral provides food and shelter for all the typical Caribbean fish you would expect to see. Be sure to check the open water from time to time, as there might be a few things not quite as common, like this school of southern sonnets. Did we dive hole in the wall at night? You bet we did! For your viewing pleasure, here is a selection of what we saw after dark. Enjoy!